Hello, this is Sal. In today's video, we will be talking about configuring VLANs and trunking. VLAN trunks are used to span VLANs across multiple devices. Trunks allow the traffic from multiple VLANs to travel over a single link, while keeping the VLAN identification and segmentation intact. In today's lab, we will create VLANs on both switches as it is showing in the topology. Assign VLANs to switch cross ports to verify that VLANs are working as expected, and then create a VLAN trunk between the two switches hosts in the same VLAN to communicate through the trunk, regardless of which switch the host is access port attached to. Here, let's configure the IP addresses for VLAN on the switches and shut down all unused ports on the two switches. Here we'll start with the switch one. Enable, configure terminal. First, let us configure a host name for the switch. I would love to use as W1. Now enter VLAN 1, no shut, IP address of 192.168.1.11 with /24 subnet mask. And as we are still in VLAN on switch 1, now if we look at switch 1, we have port F01, Ethernet 01, and F02 are used on switch 1, and the rest are not used. Let me run this command, show IP interface brief. And as you can see here, we have Ethernet 01 and Ethernet 02 are used, and the rest are not used. So configure terminal, we will shut down unused ports. Interface range from F03 to 24 and gig 0, 1, and 2. Shut. Exit from here. Now we'll do the same on switch 2. Enable, configure terminal, host name, SW host name, SW2, enter VLAN 1, no shut, IP address of 192.168.1.12 and /24 subnet mask. And now if we look at the switch 2, we have F01, F02, F03 are used and the rest are unused. So interface range F04 to 24 and gig 0, 1, and 2. Shut. Show IP interface brief to have a look at what we did so far. As you can see, here are the 3 ports and the rest are down. Okay. Now let's try to ping from PCA to PCB, from here to here. Ping 192.168.10.4, and the ping was successful. Why? Because both are on the same VLAN and both are on the same network or the same subnet. Now if we ping from PCA to PCC, ping 192.168.20.3, and the ping will not be successful. Why? Because both are in different VLANs and they are in different subnets. And the same if we ping from PCA to switch 1 or PCA to switch 2 or PCB to switch 1. Only PCA and PCB can ping because they are in the same VLAN, VLAN 10, and both, as you can see, in the same subnet. Now, we will create the VLANs on switches on switch 1, we'll create VLAN 10, 20, and 99. Configure terminal VLAN 10, and we'll name this users. VLAN 20, we will name it admins, and VLAN 99, and we will name this management. Now let's issue this command, show VLAN on switch 1, and as you can see here we have the 3 VLANs we created. Now it was the show VLAN command. Now on switch 2 we'll do the same, create the 3 VLANs, configure terminal VLAN 10, name users, VLAN 20, we will name it admins, and VLAN 99, we'll name this management. Show VLAN, and here are the 3 VLANs we created: users, admins, and management. We notice that here that VLAN 1 is the default VLAN, as you can see here, and all the ports are in VLAN 1. VLAN 1 is the default VLAN. This is VLAN 1 is the default, and all the ports by default in VLAN 1. Now let's assign these ports F02 and F02 here, and the port on switch 1, the port F02 to VLAN 10, and the port F02 in switch 2 to VLAN 10, and F03 for PCC to in VLAN 20. So going to the switch 1, configure terminal, interface F02, switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 10. This is on switch 1. Now on switch 2, we have the 2 VLANs. We have 2 VLANs and 2 ports. Port 02 to on VLAN 10 and VLAN F03 and VLAN 20. Configure terminal, interface F02, switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 10, and the interface of F03, switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 20. Now on switch 1, we configured for VLAN 1 the IP address here 192.168.1.11. We will strip VLAN 1 from its IP address and give it to VLAN 99, and the way how to do it is this way, by going into the VLAN, enter VLAN 1. All what we need to do is type no IP address. That's it. Now we will enter to VLAN 99 and give it this IP address. We type IP address of 192.168.1.11 and with a subnet mask of 255.255.255.0, no shot. Now we took the IP address from VLAN 1 and gave it to VLAN 99, and we can verify that with this command, show IP interface brief, and showing us here no more IP address for VLAN 1, but for VLAN 99. And as you can see, it's up, and why it's down? Because we still did not assign an active port to VLAN 99. Now let's do the same on VLAN on the switch 2. On switch 2, exit here, enter VLAN 1, no IP address. Now enter the VLAN 99, IP address of 192.168.1.12/24 subnet mask. No shot. And now let's run this command again on switch 2. Show IP interface brief. As you can see here, with no IP address for VLAN 1 and for VLAN 99, and it's still down because we still need to no active port yet assigned to VLAN 99. So now we configured the switches, the VLANs, and assign IP address from VLAN 1 to VLAN 99. And now notice the ports assigned to the VLANs 10 and 20. Now let me run this command here, show VLAN brief. Here we have for VLAN 10, this is on switch 2. We have 2 ports, one port F2, F02 to VLAN 10, and F03 with VLAN 20. Now let's ping, see if we can ping from PCB or ping PCB from PCA. Run this command, that's it. Now the ping should be unsuccessful because we still need to configure the trunk port between the 2 switches, between here and here, between switch 1 and switch 2. Now let's issue the ping from the switches, ping 192.168.1.12. The ping should be successful because the IP address for the switches now reside in VLAN 99. This, not VLAN 1, this is VLAN 99, and this is VLAN 99. And VLAN 99's traffic will not be sent over the trunk yet. Now I will change the VLAN assignments to ports and remove VLANs from the VLAN database. Here on switch 1, I will assign the ports F011 to 24 to VLAN 10. Configure terminal, interface range F011 to 24, switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 10. Exit, or let me run this show command, show VLAN brief. As you can see here, for the switches we configured, for VLAN 10, which we call it users, we have these ports of 0, 2, 11, 12, 13, 14, all the way to 24 as we assign it. From before we configured this port of 02 in VLAN 10, and now we assign the range of addresses of from 11 to 24 in VLAN 10. Now we will assign the ports F0, 11, and 21 to VLAN 20. Let's see how this will take it. Configure terminal, interface range, F0, 11, and F0, 21. Switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 20. Show VLAN brief. As you can see here, the two ports we configured 20, 1 and 11, we move them from 10 to VLAN 20. Now I will remove a VLAN assignment for an interface by using the command no switch port access VLAN switch 1 on switch 1. Configure terminal. Now for the interface F024, all what we need to do is, if we will remove a VLAN assignment from an interface, just a simple command no switch port access VLAN. And let's verify if we did show VLAN brief. Now let's look for the port 24. Port 24 is not anywhere, we can't see it here. Now what we notice here, that port 24, F024, is in the default VLAN 1 here, sorry. I thought, yeah, it's here, not here. Now I will show you how to remove VLAN ID from VLAN database by adding VLAN 30 to interface F024 without issuing the VLAN command. Now configure terminal, interface F024, switch port. We did not, if you can see that we have only VLAN 1, VLAN 10, VLAN 20, and 99, and the default VLANs of 1002, 1003, 1004, and 1005. These are the VLANs we have here. But now we switch 24 is in VLAN 1 by default. Now we entered the configuration for the interface of 024. If we type this command, switch port access VLAN 30, look what is going to happen when I hit enter. It will say access VLAN does not exist, which is VLAN 30, creating VLAN 30. So it is creating it for us. We can verify this if we show VLAN brief, and it is showing here that VLAN 30, the switch created it for us. The switch will create the VLAN 30 for us, as the current technology no longer requires that the VLAN command be issued to add a VLAN to the database by assigning an unknown VLAN to a port. The VLAN as the VLAN database. Let's verify by issuing this command, and as you show VLAN brief, this is showing us that it created for us the VLAN 30, and with the port we assigned to it here. Now we can remove VLAN 30 from the database. We configure terminal. All what we need to do is just no VLAN 30. This is all what we type. Now let's run this command, show VLAN brief. we have no VLAN 30 anymore. After we issued this command, no VLAN 30, and now port 24 disappeared. Yeah, this is when I did a mistake, you know, or I got little. Yeah, now when we remove the VLAN from the database VLAN 30, also the port 24 disappeared. We cannot find it in VLAN 1 or 10 or 20. And what we notice here that port 24 disappeared. This port will no longer transfer traffic. Now, when we issue the command on the port F024 on switch 1, configure terminal interface F024. Now, if we type this command, no switch port access VLAN, and hit enter. This is all what we did. You know, we entered the port. Now, when we deleted VLAN 30 from the database, it also took with it the port F024. But now we entered the port F024 and we issued this command, no switch access VLAN. Now, if we run this command, show VLAN brief, switch 24 will appear again, but guess where it's gonna be, in which VLAN? And it will be in the default VLAN, which is VLAN 1. We were supposed to reassign the port assigned to a VLAN before we remove the VLAN, because when there is a port is assigned to a VLAN and we remove that VLAN from the database, that port will not be available until we assign it to a different VLAN. They are reassigned to another VLAN. This can be a tricky thing to troubleshoot, as trunked interfaces do not show up in the port list as well when we run the command show VLAN brief. Now, we will configure .1 queue between the switches. We will configure port F01 on the switches to use the dynamic trunking protocol, DTP, to allow it to negotiate the trunk mode. After this has been accomplished and verified, we will disable dynamic trunking protocol on the interface F01 and manually configure it as a trunk. The default DTP mode of the switch port is dynamic auto. This allows the interface to convert the link to a trunk if the neighboring interface is set to trunk or dynamic desirable mode. On switch 1, we will set the interface F01 to negotiate trunk mode. Here on switch 1, configure terminal interface F fast Ethernet 01 switch port mode. Here we have the option dynamic, and with dynamic we have it auto or desirable. For now we will choose desirable. Look what happened here. And the state changed to up and then down and then down, up, up. Now let's issue the command on switch 1 and switch 2. Interface F01 is no longer assigned to VLAN 1. Exit from here, show VLAN brief. You know, the port 01 is no longer available here. Why it is not available when you run the show VLAN brief because now it is listed in the trunk as a trunk interface. Now I will issue the command show interface trunk to view the trunk interfaces here. Show interface trunk, and here is showing us on the port F01 the mode is desirable and N.1Q trunking and native VLAN 1. And I'll do the same. Here it is desirable. Let's see what's telling us on switch 2. Enable show interface trunk. Here it's showing us on switch 2 it's auto because we did not change anything here, but when we configure the trunk here on switch 1 we chose desirable, but on switch 2 it is auto. Now by default all VLANs are allowed on a trunk. The switch port trunk command allows you to control what VLANs have access to the trunk. For today's lab, we will keep the default settings, which allows all VLANs to traverse the port Fast Ethernet 01. Now, let us run some commands. Can switch 1 ping switch 2? Let's see. Ping 192.168.1.12. And again, yes, it can. Now, can PCA ping PCB, which is 10.4? Yes, it can. Now, can PCA ping PCC? 20.3? No, it can't. Now, can PCB ping PCC? Ping 192.168.20.3? No, it can't. Here, what we will notice that PCC cannot ping, this guy here cannot ping PCA or PCB because PCC is in a different VLAN. The switches are in different VLANs. Now, we will manually configure a trunk interface on Fast Ethernet 01. The switch port mode trunk command is used to manually configure a port as a trunk. This command should be issued on both ends of the link. So now on switch 1, configure terminal interface F01 switch port mode trunk. And I'll do the same on switch 2. Configure terminal interface F01 switch port mode trunk. And here show interface trunk. Notice that the mode changed from desirable to here on switch 2 from auto to on. And let's see here and show interface trunk, and the same here on switch 1. On switch 1 the mode changed to on, and switch 2 the same on. Encapsulation it's .1Q or 802.1 Q, and the same with on switch 1, and the status is the trunking. Now we notice that the mode changed from desirable to on. Why we might want to manually configure an interface to trunk mode instead of dynamic trunking protocol? Because not all network devices uses dynamic trunking protocol. Using the switch port mode trunk command ensure that the port will become a trunk no matter what type of network device is connected to the other end of the link. Now we will delete the VLAN database from the switch. We only do this if we want to initialize the switch back to its default settings. First, let's issue this command on switch 1. Show flash. Here it is on when we issue this command. We have this file VLAN.dat. Here we run this command show flash to determine if the VLAN.dat exists in flash. Now I'll issue the command delete VLAN.dat. Delete VLAN.dat, and here it is wants us to confirm. Just hit OK and another OK, so it is deleted. Let me see if we show version, and the file is no longer there. So this confirmed to us that we deleted the file VLAN.dat. Also, to initialize a switch back to its default settings, there is another command we can run. This is one way to delete the VLAN database, which is delete after running delete VLAN.dat, and it will ask us the first time to confirm it, and then we will completely confirm it. It's completely deleted from the database. It is not there in a flash. And we have another command which is erase startup configuration, and we completely confirm it, and the command is reload, and type yes, confirm. It will take a minute here. This is another way, either delete enable show version, and we no longer have it here on showing in a flash the configuration for the database for the VLANs. I hope you learned something or two from this video. Please, if you like it, subscribe to my channel and share the video. If you have any questions, just please send me an email or a message. I'll be happy to answer it. And you will find, if you want to do this lab on your own, I uploaded first you need to have packet tracer downloaded, and you will have this topology diagram on the files, and plus the walkthrough step by step. Everything was done today if you want to do this lab on your own, and I hope this will be helpful to you in your CCNA exam. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Have a nice day.